Hi, Mr. Wright here, and thank you very much for buying the 100 IGCSE Maths Questions Clearly Explained booklet, which links to this accompanying film. I hope you find these solutions useful. Do get in touch, leave me a comment if you'd like to, or send me a message with any questions which you've got, and of course, I'll help you out. But in the meantime, I hope you've got the booklet in front of you. I hope you've got a pen or a pencil at the ready. I hope you've got your calculator alongside, and you are ready to work alongside me as we tackle 100 IGCSE Maths questions. Good luck! My name's Mr. Wright and I teach IGCSE Maths. I'm doing 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. So let's get started with day one. Now's a chance to pause the film if you want to do the question before I do. Right, so we've got the number of steps he walked on the Saturday, and we have to increase that by 7%. So I'm going to multiply it by 1.07. And on my calculator, that gives me the answer 11,556 steps for Sunday. Mr. Wright here, 100 days of Maths IGCSE Exam Questions, day 2. Now's a chance to pause the film. Okay, I've got 4 2/3 divided by 1 1/9. So I'm going to write that as 14/3 divided by 10/9. So that's 14/3 multiplied by 9/10. Looking for cancelling. 3 goes once, 3 goes 3, 2 goes 5, 2 goes 7. 7 3s are 21 over 5. 21/5 is indeed 4 1/5. 100 days of Maths IGCSE Questions, day 3. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, I've got an arithmetic sequence here. It's going up in 4s. So the nth term is going to begin 4n. The first term isn't 4, it's 6. So the correction factor will need to be 2. So 4n plus 2. Now, if that's the nth term, then the n plus 1th term is going to be 4 lots of n plus 1 plus 2, which you can simplify, if you wish, to 4n plus 6. 100 days of Maths IGCSE Questions, day 4. Now's your chance to pause. Right, I'm going to multiply this equation by 4 to give me 4x minus 16y equals 36. And now I'm going to do equation 1, subtract equation 2a to give me 18y equals minus 27. So y equals minus 1.5. Substitute that value into equation 1 and solve for x to give you x equals 3. Check those values in equation 2, which I haven't got time for, and then write down your solution. Mr. Wright here, 100 days of Maths IGCSE Exam Questions, day 5. Pause the film now if you'd like to do the question before me. Right, we've got to write down an equation for this line. I can see that it's gradient. If I move 1 along the x-axis, then my y value increases by 1.5. So it's gradient's 1.5. So it's going to be y equals 1.5x. Now, where's the y-intercept? It's there at 1. So the equation of the line is y equals 1.5x plus 1. It's day 6 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Pause now if you want to do the questions before me. Right, factorising this, I'm going to take out 2p, leaves me with 2 plus 3q. Expand and simplify. I'm going to have e squared minus 2e minus 15. Solve for y. Multiply both sides by 5. Subtract 2y from both sides. And divide both sides by 3. This is day 7 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Now's your chance to pause the film if you want to do the question before me. Right, so the number of hours flown is 6 and 42/60, and every hour we travel 650 kilometres. So that's the way that I would do it. However, you may want to work out how many kilometres are flown each minute. Multiply that by 42 to give you the 42 minutes, and then add on to that the number of kilometres flown and the 6 whole hours, and then add up those two answers. Either way, your answer should be 4,355 kilometres. Mr. Rat here. We're doing 100 days of IGCSE Maths exam questions, and this is day 8. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, 1,390,000. So 1.39. If you happen to know a million is 10 to the 6, then you can write that straight away. Otherwise, you can count the number of places. 0.05 is going to be 5 times 10 to the minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. Mr. Right here, this is day 9 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths questions. Now's your chance to pause. Right, in this question, I'm going to use cos, and I'm finding the length of the hypotenuse. So x, the hypotenuse, is going to be the adjacent, divided by cos 52. Work that out on your calculator, give your answer to 3 significant figures, and you should get 20.5 centimetres to 3 significant figures. 100 days of IGCSE Maths exam questions, day 10. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, so I've got girls and boys, 2 to 7 totals 9, and I've got 170 girls. I'm multiplying by 85, so I've got a total of 9 times 85, 765 children, and 3/5 of the people are children, so 3/5 of the people, 765, divide by 3 will tell me that 1/5 of all the people is 153, and 2/5 of the people are adults, so there must be 306 adults in the cinema. It's day 11, and now's your chance to pause. Right, I'm going to mid-mad this. I'm going to find the midpoints, then I'm going to multiply, add, and divide. So the midpoints, 125, 135, multiply 95 times 8, 105 times 12, and so on. Then I'm going to add and divide. Mid-mad. Right, I'm going to add those up. It gives me a total of 5,400, and I'm going to divide the total height of all the heights by the number of sunflowers there are to find that the mean height is 112.5. Day 12, trigonometry. Pause now if you're going to do the question before me. Okay, this is a question that requires the cosine rule. I've written the cosine rule there already. So I'm going to label the side that we want to find a. So I've got a squared equals 17.8 squared plus 26.3 squared minus 2 times those two side lengths multiplied by cos 36. On my calculator, that gives me an a squared of 251 point something or other. So if I square root that, put my answer to 3 significant figures, I get the answer A is 15.8 centimetres. 100 days of IGCSE exam questions, and it's day 13. Pause now if you'd like to do the question before me. Okay, so he's investing 6,000 dirham, and because he's earning 1.5% interest, I'm going to multiply by 1.015. Now it's for 4 years, so that's the power 4. So at the end of the 4 years, he's going to have, according to my calculator, 6,368.18 and so on dirham. But be careful, because the question asks us to work out the total amount of interest. So the amount of interest is just the 368 dirham to the nearest dirham. It's day 14 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths exam questions. Now's your chance to pause if you want to do the question before me. Okay, I'm going to add up these mixed numbers on the left-hand side and hope that I get what it says I should get on the right-hand side. I've added the wholes. I'm going to turn these into twelfths. Timesing by 4 for the first one, timesing by 3 gives me 3 and 17/12, which is indeed 4 and 5/12. Subscribe for tutorials, bookits, GeoGebras, IGCSE exam questions, and past paper walkthroughs. Day 15, mean, median, mode, and range. Pause now if you'd like to do the question before me. Right, so you've got 4 numbers. You know the first 2 are the same because they're both A's. 40 is the 4th number. Okay, the range of the numbers is 14. Well, that means that this one must be 26 because the difference between the largest and the smallest must be 14. This means that that must be 26 as well because both of those are the same. The median is 30, so halfway between the second number and the third number is 30. Now the second number is 4 lower, so the third number must be 4 higher. So those are my 4 numbers. Day 16, a GCSE question on scale. Now's your chance to pause. So I've got a length of 73 metres and I'm using the scale of 1 to 200. So 200 metres in real life would be 1 metre on my scale model. So to work out what 73 metres will be, I'm simply going to do 73 divided by 200. On my calculator for that, I get the answer 0.365. So it's 0.365 metres or 36.5 centimetres. Day 17, an IGCSE question on standard form. Now's your chance to pause the film if you want to do the question before me. Right, part A. Right, this is an ordinary number. I've got to multiply by 10 to the power of 7. If I multiply by 10 to the power of 2, I get that. So I need to add 5 more zeros. Calculate the total volume of these 4 oceans. I put those numbers into my calculator in the standard form, add them up, and I get this answer on my calculator. 5 zeros. So that's going to be 6.646 times 10 to the power of 3 to get over the non-zero digits, plus another 5, 10 to the power of 8. What's the volume of this number? Sorry, what's this number written in standard form? Well, it's 9 million. So it's been 9.88, and a million is 10 to the 6, or you could, of course, count the digits. Day 18 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions, and today's question is on percentages. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, so we're investing 20,000 rupees and we are earning 1.5% interest. So I'm going to multiply by 1.015 for 3 years to the power of 3. Work out the total amount of money. So if I put that on my calculator, I get 20,913.56 and so on rupees, and I need to give my answer to the nearest rupee. So my answer is going to be 20,914 rupees. It's day 19, and we're looking at a GCSE question about proof. Now's your chance to pause if you want to try the question before I do. Okay, we need to see if the value of e is a prime number for any value of n. For instance, if I try n is 1, then e would be 1 squared plus 1 plus 5, which is 7. It is a prime. If I try n is 2, then I get 4 plus 2 plus 5, which is 11. It is a prime. If I try n is 5, however, I get 5 squared plus 5 plus 5, which is 35, which is not a prime. So is Ali correct? No, because when n equals 5, e does not equal a prime. Day 20 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Today, a question on volume. Now's your chance to pause if you'd like to do the question before me. Okay, so my cylinder has got a diameter of 14, so the top has got a radius of 7. So the area of the top is 7 squared times pi. And to find the volume, I do the area of the top multiplied by the height. And on my calculator, that gives me 3078.7 and so on cubic centimetres. I need to give that to 3 significant figures. 3080 cubic centimetres. It's day 21. We're 3 weeks in. Now's your chance to pause if you're doing this question before me. Okay, I'm going to add the indices here. It gives me y to the power of 14. The second one means 2m cubed multiplied by 2m cubed multiplied by 2m cubed multiplied by 2n cubed. 2, 4, 8, 16 m to the 12, adding the indices. Okay, multiply out the left-hand side of this equation. Now I'm going to subtract 3x's from both sides. Now I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides and divide by 2. X equals minus 9.5. Mr. Rat here is day 22 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, so I've got 6 girls and 8 boys in the first group, so the probability of choosing a girl is 6 out of 14, and of choosing a boy is 8 out of 14. In the second group, it's 3 out of 10 girls and 7 out of 10 boys. So there is the tree diagram complete. Work out the probability there are 2 boys in the team of getting boy, boy. That will be 8 out of 14 multiplied by 7 out of 10. Put that in my calculator, and I find that the probability is 2/5. It's day 23 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Pause now if you want to do the question before me. Okay, I've got to factorise this quadratic here. It's going to be x and x. One of them is going to be plus and one negative, because I've got a negative 24. It's going to be plus 6 and minus 4 to give me the plus 2x. Hence, which means use your previous answer, solve this quadratic. To solve the quadratic, set it equal to 0, it already is. Factorise the left-hand side, and then find those values of x which make the left-hand side equal to 0. Subscribe for tutorials, bookets, GeoGebras, IGCSE exam questions, and past paper walkthroughs. It's day 23 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Pause now if you want to do the question before me. Okay, I've got to factorise this quadratic here. It's going to be x and x. One of them is going to be plus and one negative, because I've got a negative 24. It's going to be plus 6 and minus 4 to give me the plus 2x. Hence, which means use your previous answer, solve this quadratic. To solve the quadratic, set it equal to 0, it already is. Factorise the left-hand side, and then find those values of x which make the left-hand side equal to 0. Subscribe for tutorials, bookets, GeoGebras, IGCSE exam questions, and past paper walkthroughs. It's day 24. Pause the film now if you want to do the question before I do. Okay, I've got to work out the value of y, so I'm going to start by dropping a perpendicular here. So I've got a right angle triangle. I'm going to work out that length x. So I'm going to have an angle of 35 here. This vertical length is 15, and I'm trying to find the opposite. So I'm going to use tan. Using tan, the opposite, x, is 15 times tan 35, which is 10.5 on my calculator. So x is 10.5. And I know that this length here is 37 because it's equal to the opposite length. So the value of y is 37 plus 10.5, which is 47.5, and that's to 1 decimal place. This is day 25 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. We're a quarter of the way through. Pause the screen now if you want to do the question before I do. Okay, there are 60 children, and the number of girls to boys is in the ratio 3 to 1, which adds to 4. There are 60 children, so I'm timesing by 15. So there are 45 girls, 15 boys. 3/5 of the girls play a musical instrument. 1/5 of that is 9. So 3 9s are 27. 27 girls play a musical instrument. 4/5 of the boys. 1/5 is 3, so 4/5 is 12. So 12 boys. So altogether 39 children play a musical instrument. That's 39 out of 60, which cancels down to 13/20. Mr. Right here, it's day 26 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, so I've got an arithmetic sequence. I can see the constant difference is 4. So my nth term is going to be 4n, and then I need to have a correction factor of 3 to make sure that first term is 7. Subscribe for tutorials, bookits, GeoGebras, IGCSE exam questions, and past paper walkthroughs. It's day 27. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, I need to find the circumference of this circle, which I'm obviously going to do using the formula C equals pi d. So I need to know the diameter. The diameter is this line, mn, and I can find the length of that by using Pythagoras. So the diameter is going to be the square root of 3.5 squared plus 9.7 squared, which gives me on my calculator 10.312, and so on. Keep the whole number on your calculator because the circumference is going to be pi times that whole number, which gives me 32.4 centimeters to 3 significant figures. Of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Pause the film now if you want to do the question before me. Right, I'm going to expand these two brackets in turn. 3 lots of c minus 7 plus 2 lots of 3c plus 4. I'm going to tidy up 9 c's and minus 13. Expand and simplify. I'm going to have x squared. And now I've got plus 7x minus 2x gives me plus 5x, and plus 7 times minus 2 is minus 14. Subscribe for tutorials, bookits, GeoGebras, IGCSE exam questions, and past paper walkthroughs. Mr. Right here, it's day 29 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, I'm looking for a common factor here. I'm going to pull out 7 and y. It's going to leave me with 4y minus 3. Part D, multiply both sides by 4. Gets rid of the divided by 4 on the left. On the right-hand side is 12x plus 4. Subtract 7x from both sides. Okay, minus 4 from both sides. Turn it around because I like it this way. And then divide both sides by 5. Minus 6 divided by 5 is minus 6 over 5. Subscribe for tutorials, bookits, GeoGebras, IGCSE exam questions, and past paper walkthroughs. Day 30. Pause now if you want to do the question before I do. Okay, I've got to find the mean. I'm going to mid-mad this. I'm going to find the midpoints. Then I'm going to multiply, add, and divide. Mid-mad. Right, the midpoints of each of the classes I'm writing down now. Now I'm going to multiply 1 times 5, 3 times 9, 5 times 24, 7 times 40, and 9 sevens are 63. Multiply, add those up. I get a total number of hours of 395, and now I've got to divide that 495 by the total number of the students, and the total of the students is 85. So 495 divided by 85 gives me an answer of 5.8 hours to 1 decimal place. It's day 31. Now's your chance to pause if you want to do the question before I do. Okay, so we've got a Venn diagram here. We're asked to write down the numbers that are in set A. That's going to be all of these. 6, 4, 2, 12. That's those ones. And also 1 and 3. Write down the members which are in set B intersection C. Well, that's just this one here. It's just the 5. Brian writes down that A intersection C is an empty set. He's saying there are no numbers which are in A and in C. And he's correct. Yes, he's right, because you can see from the diagrams that A doesn't intersect with C at all. Give my answer. There are no numbers which are in both A and C. It's day 32 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Here's the question, so pause the film if you want to do it before I do. Okay, part A, I'm going to need to multiply 8 by 10 4 times. So 80,000 is my answer. Now for B, well, the truth of the matter is you can simply put this in your calculator and press equals. And when I do that, I get the answer 1 over 2,000. And when I press S to D, my calculator gives it to me in standard form straight away. Okay, your calculator might give you this answer, in which case you then need to write that in standard form. Day 33 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Pause the film now if you'd like to do the question before I do. Okay, in 2016, the company made 350 cars. In 2017, well, the company made 6 times 25 in the first 6 months and 6 times 45 in the second 6 months. So if I work out what that comes to, the company in total made 420 cars in that second year. What's the percentage increase? The increase over the original multiplied by 100 gives me 20%. If you're finding these films useful, please press like and spread the word. It's day 34. Now's your chance to pause the film if you want to do the question before I do. Okay, so L1 has got a gradient which I'll call M1 of -2. So L2 must have a gradient of the negative reciprocal of -2. Therefore, L2's got a gradient of 1/2. Now, we also know that L2 goes through the point 4, 7. Now, if it has a gradient of 1/2, every time you move along 1, you go up 1/2. Now, I want to know where this line's going to cross the x-axis. So every time I go along 1 to the left, I go down 1/2. Along 1, down 1/2. I need to go down 7 in all. So I'm going to need to have gone along 14. So that's going to get me to -10. So L2 crosses the x-axis at the point -10, 0. 35. Now's your chance to pause. Okay, I need to write down the modal class, the most common class. Well, that is the class from 0 to 1 because that has more parcels in it than any other. Right, an estimate for the mean weight. I'm going to mid-mad. Find the midpoint, multiply, add, divide. Here are the midpoints. 0.5, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. Midpoint, multiply, add, and divide. 1/2 times 19. 1.5 times 12. 2.5 times 5. 3.5 times 2. 4.5 times 2. Multiply, add them up. And then divide by the number of parcels. There are 40 parcels, so the mean is 56 divided by 40, which gives me 1.4. It's day 36 of 100 days of Maths IGCSE Exam Questions. Now's your chance to pause if you're going to do the question before me. Okay, I've got 3 whole numbers, something, 10, and something else. The mean of the 3 numbers is 11, so I know their total is 3 times 11, 33. And I know the range is 7, so the difference between those two numbers is 7. So I could try 9, 10, and 16, but that doesn't add up to 33. I could try 8, 10, and 15. It's got a range of 7. Okay, and it adds up to 25, 33. So that works. So the answer is X is 8 and Y is 15. Day 37, simultaneous equations. Now's your chance to pause. Okay, I'm going to double the top equation, and then I'm going to add the equations to eliminate the x's. So now I'm adding these two equations. 16x equals 32, x is 2. Here's equation 1. I'm going to substitute my value for x into that equation. So I get y equals 4.5. Right, I'm going to check my answers in the second equation. 10x minus 4y is supposed to equal 2. 10x is 20 minus 4 times 4.5, which is 18. So 20 minus 18 does equal 2. Write down my answer at the end of my solution. Day 38. Now's your chance to pause. Right, I've got something to a negative indice here, so I'm going to write down the reciprocal of that, and now I have dealt with the negative element of that power, so now it's just that. Something's the power of a quarter is the fourth root, so I need the fourth root at the top and the fourth root of the bottom. So that's going to be y squared over the fourth root of 256 is 4, x to the power of 5. Subscribe for tutorials, bookets, GeoGebras, IGCSE exam questions, and past paper walkthroughs. Day 39, circle theorems. Pause now to do the question before I do. Okay, so you're being asked to find an angle NOM, this angle here. Well, that's 27, so this angle here will be 54. Give a reason for your answer, because the angle at the center is twice the angle at the circumference. "100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions," and it's day 40. Now's your chance to pause. Now, in the previous question yesterday, we found that that angle there was 54. This time, we have to find this angle here. Now, I've got an isosceles triangle here. 180 minus 54 divided by 2 gives me half of 96, 48 for this angle. And then I've got a right angle between the radius and the tangent, which means that my angle is 90 minus 48, 42. Subscribe for tutorials, bookets, GeoGebras, IGCSE exam questions, and past paper walkthroughs. Mr. Right here, it's 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions, and it's day 41. Press pause now if you want to do the question before me. Okay, I've got a straight line, its gradient is 5, so it's going to be y equals 5x. Now I'm looking for the y-intercept, and the question tells me it crosses through the point 0, minus 3, so that's its y-intercept, minus 3. So there's the equation of the line. If you're finding these films useful, please tell me so by hitting the like button. Day 42. Now's your chance to pause the film if you'd like to do the question. Okay, I've got to work out which straight lines bound the region R. Well, first of all, there's this line. That's the line x equals 2. And I'm shaded to the left of that, so it's going to be x is less than or equal to 2 is a solid line. So it's less than or equal to. This is the line y equals 3, and I'm after less than or equal to that. This is the line y equals 1, and I'm greater than or equal to that. And this is the line x equals 0, and I'm greater than or equal to 0. So those are the 4 lines, the 4 inequalities. Pause now to do this question. Okay, I've got to find this length here and that length there. The A is the adjacent, and I'm going to use tan. So the adjacent is 12.8, the opposite, divided by tan 72. So I'm going to get that answer on my calculator. Now I'm going to use that answer and the 12.8 and use Pythagoras to find h. The hypotenuse was 13.458. So the perimeter is the 13.458 plus my adjacent, which is 4.158, plus 12.8, which to three significant figures is 30.4. It's day 44 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, so y is directly proportional to the cube of x. And I know that y is 20h when x is h. So I can rearrange this to find an expression for alpha. Divide both top and bottom by h. So now my formula for y isn't alpha x cubed, it's h squared over 20 times x cubed. Subscribe for tutorials, bookits, GeoGebras, IGCSE exam questions and past paper walkthroughs. It's day 45 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Now's your chance to pause the film if you want to do the question before me. Okay, so we start with 160,000 Hong Kong dollars, depreciates by 4% each year, so I'm going to multiply by 0.96 each year, and I'm depreciating for 4 years. So that's what I'm putting in my calculator. If I do that, this is the answer I get, but I'm asked to put it to the nearest dollar, so the answer I'm going to write down is 141,558 Hong Kong dollars. If you're finding these films useful, please like this film, and then that'll spread the word through the YouTube algorithm. Day 46. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, so she spends a third of her income on rent and a fifth on travel. So altogether, she spends a third plus a fifth of her income on rent and travel. Well, that is 8/15 of her income spent. The remainder of her income is 7/15 of her income, and that equals $420. So 1/15 must be 420 divided by 7, and the whole of her income, therefore, must be 60 times 15, 900. If you're finding these films useful, please press the like button, and then the algorithm will spread the word. Day 47. Now's your chance to pause. Okay, so I'm going to have x equals 0.43636 and so on. 100x will therefore be 43.63636. Take the top line from the bottom, 99x is 43.2, so x is 43.2 over 99. Multiply both of those by 10, 432 over 990, and cancel away, and you'll get 24 out of 55. Day 48. Now's your chance to pause. Okay, the secret with these is to write both numbers down, but lining up your 2s, 3s, 5s, and 7s. So I'm going to write A like that, and B 2 to the 3 times 3 times 7 to the 4. Right, the highest common factor. So they don't both have 2s. I'm going to take the lowest of the powers, 3 times 7 to the 3. And for the lowest common multiple, I take the higher of the powers. If you're finding these films useful, please press like, and the algorithm will spread the word. Subscribe for tutorials, bookets, GeoGebras, IGCSE exam questions, and past paper walkthroughs. It's day 49. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, so I've got to work out the angle x, and I know that this is an isosceles triangle here. This angle is the interior angle of the regular pentagon, so it's 108. This angle is the interior angle of the regular octagon, so it's 135. Take from 360 gives you an angle at the top of the triangle there, an angle B, which is 117. And so you can simply do 180 minus 117 divided by 2 to give you the answer for x of 31.5. If you're finding these films useful, please press like, and then the algorithm will spread the word. Subscribe for tutorials, bookets, GeoGebras, IGCSE exam questions, and past paper walkthroughs. It's 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions, day 50. Whoop whoop, we are halfway there. Pause now if you want to do this question before me. Okay, so her original salary would have been increased by 5% to end up with 252,000. So her old salary will be 252,000 divided by 1.05, which is 240,000 on my calculator, Hong Kong dollars. If you're finding these films useful, please press like, and then the algorithm will spread the word. Well done, we're halfway there. Subscribe for tutorials, bookets, GeoGebras, IGCSE exam questions, and past paper walkthroughs. Mr. Right here, day 51 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Now's your chance to pause the film if you want to do the question before I do. Now we need to find the interquartile range. I've got 80 films represented here. The median would be the length of the 40th one. Okay, so the lower quartile will be the length of the 20th film. If I was doing this in an exam, I'd be using a ruler and a pencil. So the length of that film is 103. And the upper quartile will be the length of the 60th film, which is 123. So the interquartile range is 123. Take away 103, the difference between those two quartiles. So the interquartile range is 20 minutes. Mr. Right here, and it's day 52. Okay, so I've got to factorize the top and factorize the bottom. I can take an x out of the top, leaves me with 6x squared plus 13x minus 5. And the bottom there, that's the difference of 2 squares. So I can factorize that like that. Right, I can factorize the top further. Now I bet one of the two things on the bottom will go into the top. I'm going to try 2x plus 5. Now if that's 2x plus 5, I'm going to need a minus 1 here, and I'm going to need a 3x here. And if I test that, I see I get plus 13x. So that's the top factorized, and the bottom remains as is. So now I can divide the top and bottom by 2x plus 5, leaving me with x lots of 3x minus 1 on the top and 2x minus 5 on the bottom. It's day 53. Now's your chance to pause. Now I need to work out the upper bound for the value of a, so I'm going to want to have the highest possible value of p, the lowest of q, to make the top of that fraction as large as possible, and I'm going to want the lowest possible value of t, so that my answer for a is as large as possible overall. So that means that p will be 8.45 minus the smallest possible q, 6.25, all divided by the smallest possible t, 2.65. And if I put that in my calculator to one decimal place, I get the answer 8.3. If you're finding these films useful, please press like, and then the algorithm will spread the word. It's day 54. Now's your chance to pause. Okay, I'm going to double the bottom equation, and then I'm going to add my new equation 2 to equation 1 to eliminate the y's. 7x equals 31.5. Divide both sides by 7, and x is 4.5. Substitute that value of x into equation 1. Solve the equation. Y is minus 2.5. Check those answers in equation 2. You'll find that they work, and then you can write down your solution. If you're finding these films useful, please do press like, and that'll spread the word. It's day 55. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, I'm going to copy down my first bracket, and now I'm going to expand the second two brackets in my head. Plus 3x minus 5x gives me minus 2x. Now I'm going to multiply each term in the second bracket by 2x. So I'm looking at each term in the second bracket, and I'm multiplying it by 2x. Okay, and now I'm going to look at each term in the second bracket and multiply it by minus 1. And now I'm going to tidy this up. 2x cubed minus 5x squared minus 28x plus 15. If you're finding these films useful, please press like and spread the word. It's day 56 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, so I've written the quadratic formula there already. I know I have to use the quadratic formula because I know my answers aren't going to be exact. So x will be minus b is minus 6 plus or minus the square root of b squared 6 squared minus 4 times 3 times minus 5. Make sure you put that correctly into your calculator when the time comes, all over 6. That gives me minus 6 plus or minus the square root of 96 over 6. So I'm going to work out each of those answers and write each one to 3 significant figures. If you're finding these films useful, please press like, and then the algorithm will spread the word. Mr. Right here, it's day 57 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Questions. Pause the film now if you want to do the question before me. Right, I've got something cubed, so I'm just going to write down the something multiplied by the something multiplied by the something. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. E squared times E squared times E squared is e to the 6, adding the indices. F cubed times F cubed times F cubed is F to the 9. If you're finding these films useful, please press like, and then the algorithm will spread the word. 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions, day 58. Pause the film now if you want to do the question before me. Okay, I've got to work out the area of this. I'm going to split it into 2. I've got a rectangle on the bottom, which measures 20 by 14, so that's the area of that. And then I've got a trapezium on the top. Now my trapezium has an A and a B, the two lengths of 20 and 16. So I'm going to find the average of those two lengths and multiply by the height of the trapezium. Now, how high is the trapezium? It goes F to E is 14, and then all the way is 24. So the trapezium must be 10 high. So 20 times 14 gives me 280, plus 18 times 10, 180, gives me an answer of 460 square centimetres. Mr. Right here, it's day 59 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Now's your chance to pause the film if you want to do the question before me. Right, well, this simply means 20x squared y to the power of 6 divided by 4x squared y squared. 20 divided by 4 is 5, x squared divided by x squared is 1, and y to the 6 divided by y squared is y to the 4, subtracting the indices. So there is my answer. If you're finding these films useful, please press like, and then the algorithm will spread the word. Day 60. Pause now if you want to do the question before me. Okay, in bag X then, there are 11 blue, and so there are 9 red. Continue this diagram now. So in bag Y, 9 of them are blue. That's 9 out of 16. So this is for blue. It's 9 out of 16. So it must be 7 out of 16 to get a red in bag Y. And similarly, if you had got a red first from bag X, the probability would be 9 out of 16 to get a blue in bag Y and 7 out of 16 to get a red. And there is the probability tree completed. It's day 61 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Pause now if you want to do this before I do. Okay, I've got to factorise this quadratic here. I know it's going to be in the 2 brackets like this. I've got 2x squared, so I'm going to have 2x and x. I've got a positive term at the end, but a minus x. So both of these will have to be negatives in the bracket. Now my 2 numbers have to multiply to 6. So I've got 1 and 6, or 6 and 1, 2 and 3, and 3 and 2. So not many to try. I see I've got minus 7x, so that would work rather well if it was 2 times the 3 and then minus the 1, because then I'd get minus an x from my nose and minus 6x from my mouth. So there is my solution. Day 62. Now's your chance to pause if you want to do the question before me. Right, I'm going to multiply both sides by 3, which gives me 4m plus 9 on the left and 21 minus 6m on the right. I'm going to add 6m to both sides to give me 10m plus 9 equals 21. Subtract 9 from both sides. 10m is 12. Divide both sides by 10. M is 1.2. If you're finding these films useful, please do hit the like button and then the algorithm will spread the word. It's day 63 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Pause now if you'd like to do the question before me. Okay, so I need to write these using indices, so that's going to be y to the power of a quarter over y. Now, if I divide, then I subtract the indices, don't I? So I've got y divided by the quarter divided by y to the power of 1. So if I subtract the indices, I get y to the power of minus 3/4. Day 64. Pause now to do the question before me. So this is something to the power of a half. So that simply means the square root of 16x to the 8, y to the 6. Well, the square root of 16 is 4, because 4 fours are 16. X to the power of 4 is the square root of x to the power of 8, because x to the power of 4 times x to the power of 4 is x to the power of 8. In the same way, y cubed is the square root of y to the 6. If you're finding these films useful, please do hit the like button and then the algorithm will spread the word. Day 65. Pause the film now if you'd like to do the question before me. Okay, I've got 3 and 2 on my denominators there, so I'm going to multiply everything by 6. If I multiply something divided by 3 by 6, I end up with 2 of them. Copy this minus sign carefully. If I multiply something divided by 2 by 6, then I end up with 3 of them, and 4 times 6 is 24. Right, multiply out the brackets. Be careful with your signs, especially as that's plus 9. Tidy up the left-hand side. Minus 10x's plus 25 equals 24. Subtract 25 from both sides. Minus 10x is minus 1, so 10x is 1, and x is 1 divided by 10. It's day 66 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Pause the film now if you'd like to do the question before me. Right, I'm going to square both sides to get rid of that square root sign. Now I need to write this as f equals, so I multiply both sides by 3 to get rid of the third. I'm going to turn it round now because I like it to have the f on this side. Divide both sides by e. 3m squared divided by e is 3m squared over e. If you're finding these films useful, please do hit the like button and then the algorithm will spread the word. Day 67. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, I'm going to use Pythagoras to find the length x using the right-hand triangle, and then use that answer to find the length of QP, or PQ, using the left-hand side triangle. So looking at the right-hand triangle, x is going to be the square root of 14 squared minus 10 squared. So x is the square root of 96. Now let's have a look at the left-hand triangle now. So QP, or PQ, is going to be the square root of 5 squared plus root 96 squared. So that's going to be the square root of 25 plus, well, the square root of 96 squared is 96. So that's simply the square root of 121. So that means that PQ is 11. It's day 68. Pause the film now if you want to do the question before me. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is write both of these numbers as products of primes. So this is how I'm going to do that. Every time I get to a prime, I'm going to circle it. 6 fours are 24, 2 and 2 and 2 and 3. So 96 is 2 to the power of 5 times 3. Follow the same process for 120. And you'll get 120 is 2 cubed times 3 times 5. Now we want the highest common factor, the highest number that goes into both of them. So I'm going to take the lowest powers. 2 to the 3 times 3. If you're finding these films useful, please hit the like button and then the algorithm will spread the word. It's day 69 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Now's your chance to pause the film if you want to do the question before I do. Okay, we need to find the lowest common multiple, the lowest number which they all divide into. So I'm going to choose the highest powers of each of the factors. I'm going to choose 2 to the 4, 3 to the 1, because that's the only 3 that appears, 5 squared, 7 squared, and 11. If you're finding these films useful, please press the like button and then the algorithm will spread the word. 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions, and it's day 70. Pause the film now if you'd like to do the question before I do. Right, so Stanley goes from point A and he walks east 200 meters, which takes him to point B, and then he walks 160 meters south to point C. That's a right angle there. We need to find the length from A to C. I'm going to use Pythagoras here, call that x. X is going to be the square root of 200 squared plus 160 squared. If I put that into my calculator, that's the square root of 65,600, which comes out to 256.12 and so on. So to 3 significant figures, the answer is 256. Mr. Right here, it's day 71 of 100 days of IGCSE exam questions. Pause the film now if you want to do the question before I do. Okay, so I need to write down the solutions for these simultaneous equations. And I've got both lines drawn on the grid. So the solution is going to be where the lines cross. So they cross at the point 3, 4. So the solution is going to be x equals 3 and y equals 4. If you're finding these films useful, please hit the like button and then the algorithm will spread the word. Day 72. Pause the film now if you'd like to. Okay, I'm going to shade out the areas that I don't want. So first of all, here's the line y equals 0. I don't want less than 0. Here's the line y equals 0, and I don't want less than 0. Here's the line y plus x equals 4. Do There again. And I don't want less than 4. Here's the line 3x equals 2x plus 6, and I want less than that, so I don't want more than that. And lastly, I don't want more than 24, so there is my area, and I've labelled it R. It's day 73. Pause now if you'd like to do the question before I do. Okay, she's got 6.3 kilograms of wax. That's that many grams, and each candle uses 210. So therefore, she's making 30 candles. Now, 2/5 of the candles, 2/5 of 30 is 2 times 6, so 12 candles she sells for $13 each. That gives her $156 so far. And the remaining candles, the 18 candles, she doesn't sell for £13. She only sells for 0.8 of 13. So she only sells those for £10.40. So 18 times £10.40, 187.20. So altogether, how much money does she make? She makes £343.20. It's day 74. Now's the time to press pause if you want to do the question before I do. Now, we need to reflect this triangle in the line y equals x. So I'm going to start by drawing the line y equals x, which is going to be this line here. And I'm going to reflect the triangle. Because the line's diagonal, I'm going to count diagonally to the line and diagonally the other side. So that's half a square there, 1.5. There we go. All right, so there is my reflection, which I'm labelling R. Translate S by the vector -4, -6. So it's going to go 4 to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 6 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is that. And so the corresponding points are like that. And that is the triangle T. Mr. Right here, it's day 75 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Pause now to do the question before me. Okay, if it's x kilometres an hour, and I need to change it into metres per hour, I'm going to get those x kilometres, and I'm going to write them as metres. So x kilometres is 1,000 times x metres, and that's how many metres an hour. So how many metres a second? Well, that's how many metres a minute. I have to divide by 60 again to get metres per second, and it asks me to simplify the answer. So if I put 1,000 divided by 3,600 in my calculator, I get 5/18. So the answer is 5/18 times x. If you're finding these films useful, please hit the like button, and then other people will see them too. It's day 76. Now's your chance to pause the film. All right, I need to find the size of this angle alpha here. Looking at this diagram, I've got a backwards z here. So 38 plus 65, 103, is the same as this angle. Those are alternate angles, which means that the whole of this angle here is 77 because they're 180 on a straight line. Now the top angle of this triangle, it's an isosceles triangle, isn't it? So I've got 65 here, so that's 130, leaves me 50 there. So alpha is in fact 77, the whole of that top angle, take away 50. Alpha is 27. If you're finding these films useful, please hit the like button and that will spread the word. It's day 77 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, f of -7 is going to be 3 times -7 minus 5, all divided by 4, which is -26 divided by 4, which is -6.5. Okay, to find the inverse function, I'm going to start by saying that y equals 3x minus 5 over 4, and I'm going to make x the subject of this expression, adding 5 to both sides. So x is 4y plus 5, all divided by 3, which means that my inverse function of x is 4x plus 5 over 3. If you're finding these films useful, please hit the like button and spread the word. We're doing 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions, and today is day 78. Pause the film now if you want to do the question before I do. Right, f of 5 will be 3 times 5 minus 2, which is 13. Now, if f of y is 22, then that implies that 3y minus 2 is 22. So now I simply have to solve this equation to find what y would be. So the answer is y is 8. If you're finding these films useful, please hit the like button and then the algorithm will spread the word. Day 79 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Pause the film now and have a go at the question before I do. Right, so I've got to expand these brackets. I'm going to start with my first eyebrow. It's going to give me 3x squared. Now my nose, it's going to give me minus 4xy. And my mouth is going to give me plus 9xy. So altogether I've got plus 5xy. And then my second eyebrow minus 12y squared. If you're finding these films useful, please hit the like button and that will spread the word. Day 80. Now's your chance to pause the film to do the question before I do it. Okay, we've got 30 students who sat a test and their mean mark was 26.8. So the total of all the marks is 30 times 26.8, 804. 13 boys and their mean mark was 25. So the total for the boys is 13 times 25, 325, which means all the girls must have totaled to 479. Right, now how many girls were there? Well, there were 13 boys, so there must be 17 girls. So the mean mark for the girls will be 479, their total, divided by 17, which is 28.17, and so on. So to three significant figures, 28.2. Mr. Right here, 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. It's day 81. Now's your chance to pause the film to do the question before me. So she's got $800 and she invests it for an interest rate of 3.5%. So that's my multiplier. And it's the power of 6 compound interest for 6 years. So according to my calculator, at the end of the 6 years, she's got that many dollars. So the interest she's received must be $183.40 to the nearest dollar. It's day 82 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, so I've got an area of 2 times 2.5. So my area is 2.5 square meters and the pressure is 42. So I've got 42 equals the force over 2.5. So if I multiply both sides by 2.5, I can calculate the force. It's 42 times 2.5, 105. It's day 83 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Now's your chance to pause the film. So I know that this angle is going to be 90 degrees plus this angle alpha. And the angle alpha I can find using tan because that's 12.5 and this length here is 8.3, being the difference between 24.3 and 16. So tan alpha is the opposite over the adjacent. Work out that fraction on my calculator. Inverse tan. Alpha is 33.6 degrees to 1 decimal place. So the whole of x is 90 plus 33.6, 123.6 degrees to the nearest 1 decimal place. Mr. Right here, it's day 84. Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, I've got similar triangles here, and I can see by comparing the 6 and the 15
that the side lengths of the larger triangle are 2.5 times greater than the side lengths of the smaller. I'm asked to find DF, so that's going to be 4.2 times 2.5, which gives me the answer 10.5 centimetres.
It's day 85 of 100 days of the Maths IGCSE Exam Questions, and we're looking at a question with ratio and fractions. Now's your chance to pause.
Okay, so you have Anna and Lionel splitting money in the ratio 4:5. The total of those ratios is 9. They're splitting a total of $675. So my 9's been multiplied by 75. So Lionel will have 5 times 75, $375. And he gives 3/5 of that to his mother. So 3/5 of 375. He gives his mother $225.
It's day 86, and here's an IGCSE Maths exam question about similar triangles.
Now's your chance to pause the film. Okay, looking at the 6 and the 15, I see that the side lengths on the larger triangle are 2.5 times the side lengths on the smaller triangle. I'm asked to find out the length of BC, which corresponds to this 19.5. So BC is 19.5 divided by 2.5, which gives me a length of 7.8 centimetres.
It's day 87, and here's a IGCSE Maths exam question about functions.
Now's your chance to pause the film. Right, I have to find FG of 3. So I'm going to G3 first, and then I'm going to F that result. If I G3, I'm working out the square root of 19 minus 3, the square root of 16, which is 4, and now I'm going to F that 4. So F of 4 is 3 times 4 minus 5, all divided by 4, which is 12 minus 5 divided by 4, which is 7/4, or 1 3/4.
Mr. Right here, it's day 88 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths exam questions, and here's a question about speed.
Now's your chance to pause the film. I've got to change 72 kilometres per hour into metres per second. So 72 kilometres an hour is 72,000 metres per hour. So if I divide that by 60, that would tell me how many metres a minute it was, and that gives me 1,200 metres every minute. So I'm going to divide by 60 again to tell me how many metres that is per second. So the answer is 20 metres per second.
It's day 89. Now's your chance to pause the film.
Okay, so I need to find out the volume of water which I'm going to put in this swimming pool. So it's 3 metres by 12 metres, my block of water, but because it's being filled to 60 centimetres below the top, it's then multiplied by 1.9 metres because it doesn't completely fill the pool. So I've got a volume of water of 68.4 cubic metres, which incidentally is 68,400 litres. Now, my water flows at 400 metres a minute, so how many minutes will it take to fill the pool with that many litres? The answer is it'll take 171 minutes. And what is that in hours and minutes? 2 hours, 51 minutes.
It's day 90, and we're translating graphs. Now's your chance to pause.
Okay, so we need to find the minimum point of this curve here. So we're going to translate our curve 5 units to the right. So the minimum point is going to go 5 units that way. So it's now going to be at 3 minus 1.
It's day 91. Pause now.
So I've got the difference of two squares on the denominator of my first fraction. So I can factorize that like this, and in the same way, I can factorize the denominator of my second fraction. I'm going to write them all over a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom of the first fraction by 2 and top and bottom of the second fraction by 3x minus 5. If I simplify that, it's 2 plus 5, 7 minus 3x over that common denominator. And that is the question done.
It's day 93, a question on percentages. Now's your chance to pause the film.
Right, so after an increase of 20%, this book is worth £15. So that's after it's been multiplied by 1.2. So the value before the increase must be 15 divided by 1.2, which gives me £12.50.
It's day 94 and we're looking at indices.
Now's your chance to pause the film. I'm going to write everything so that it has a base of 2. So 128 is going to become 2 to the 7. 4 to the 2x is going to become 2 to the 4x, doubling the indice, and the 2 to the x is going to remain at 2 to the x. So these powers added together, 5x, must equal the 7. So 5x is 7, so x is 7 over 5, or 1.2.
It's day 95, percentage profit. Now's your chance to pause the film.
So he spends altogether £480. And what does he make? What's his revenue? Well, he sells half the books for £5 each. He sells 40% of the books, which is 48 of them, for £7 each. And he sells the remainder, which is 12, for £8 each. So altogether, he has a revenue of £732. So he has a profit of 732 minus 480, 252. The percentage profit, the profit over what he spent multiplied by 100 gives you a percentage profit of 52.5%.
Day 96, we're looking at indices or powers.
Now's your chance to pause the film. Right, I've got a to the power of a half multiplied by a to the power of 1, and that's going to be divided by a to the power of minus 2. So I've got a to the power of 1.5, adding those indices, and now I'm going to have to subtract these indices. 1.5 minus minus 2 is 3.5, so my answer is a to the power of 3.5, which you could write as a to the power of 7 over 2.
Day 97, we're changing the subject of a formula, doing some algebra.
Pause the film now. Right, I have to make E the subject. I'm going to start by turning it around. Now I'm going to subtract F from both sides. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 3.
It's day 98 and we're finding highest common factors.
Now's your chance to pause the film. Right, I'm going to write 90 as a product of its prime factors, which I could do using a factor tree or using the fact button on my calculator. And I'm also going to write 252 as a product of its prime factors. Now I need to find the highest number that goes into both. So I see they've both got a 2 to the power 1. They've both got a 3 squared, and that's all they have in common. So the highest common factor must be 18.
It's day 99 and we're looking at reverse percentage increases. Now's your chance to pause the film.
So his salary after an increase is 68,250. So that's his salary after his original one has been multiplied by 1.05. So to find his original salary, you'll have to do his new salary divided by 1.05, which is going to give you an original salary of 65,000.
It's day 100 of 100 days of IGCSE Maths Exam Questions. Congratulations if you've made it this far. The last question is about quadratic equations. Now's your chance to pause the film. Right, I have to factorise this expression here, which is going to factorise to x minus 4 lots of x minus 6. So when I solve this equation here, I factorise the left-hand side, which gives me my two answers, x equals 4 or x equals 6. Well done for making it through those 100 exam questions. How did you find them? Do leave me a question in the comments or get in touch by email, and of course, I'll help you out. Now, if you're aiming for a high grade, grades 7, 8 or 9, you will want to work your way through my 50 grade 8 and 9 exam questions. I'll put a link for those in the description of this film. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and I hope you found the film useful. Good luck with your exams.